Welcome to Last Epoch, an ARPG that obviously to me takes a lot of inspiration from games like Path of Exile, from games like Diablo, but also puts a twist on it and manages to have its own fun way of doing things. I like it a lot so far from my experience. It's been very enjoyable, and it's only a game in development, and I've honestly been very impressed with the fact of how well this game has been for me playing it to be a game that hasn't even released officially, to not have any real performance issues, to be pretty smooth while playing, to have such clear systems. Everything about it has been quite pleasing for my own playtime with it. While playing this game, one of my favorite things, of course, was the crafting system. It's pretty simplistic. As you go through the game, you'll pick up these various shards right here. Elementals, resistance shard, minion shard. You go, you click them, it picks all of them up. You click store crafting materials. Then you press F to open up your forge. And simply as you're going through the campaign, you can pick up, new base types, new items with decent affixes, and you can upgrade on it. Say I wanted to have more elemental resistance here, I'd go and I'd forge it and I'd upgrade it. Now it has better elemental resistance than it did before. Say I want physical damage because I'm playing a physical character, I'd get a physical shard and I'd put physical damage on there. As I'm upgrading it, you see the chance for success, chance for a minor fracture, stuff like this becomes higher and higher chance that I break the item, that I fracture it. But it tells you the odds ahead of time. You know the chance of failure, you know the chance of success, and you can kind of modify your odds with things like Glyph of the Guardian. If you use Glyph of Stability early on, it adds less instability to the item. So as instability grows, the higher the number, the more likely it's going to be a harder craft to do. So if you can craft with Glyph of Stability early on, you can keep that number lower, and then thus making finishing the item up easier later on. This system's been great for me getting decent items, but it's been hard to get perfect items because as you get closer and closer to perfect items, you have to take higher and higher risk you're going to brick it, and each time you're rolling that dice, you break it. So it's about how close to perfection you can get before you brick it. I think it's a nice little system. It's pretty simple, it's pretty straightforward, but it also gives you the player, a lot of control over upgrading your item, and you do have to farm these resistance or these specific crafting shards. For myself in particular, I've on the fly been upgrading my filter system to specifically find affixes that are important to my character that I need to keep using to min-max my gear. For example, in here, I'm looking for a few different affixes like poison damage, like poison penetration, like damage over time. Stuff like that is important to my character to get damage for my build, so I highlight those items so I can pick them up, and then I can take those items and I can do just this. I can buy a Rune of Shattering, which allows you to harvest specific modifiers. So I see Ele Res, Lightning Res, Fizz Damage. Say I wanted those mods, I could shatter this, and then I get shards to craft on different pieces of gear. So it's been real nice for me as I've been playing through the game to essentially upgrade my character as I go. So the crafting system has been very enjoyable. After the crafting system, we look at the skills and the passive tree. Now, the skills in the passive tree, I think it tries to pull some of the complexity of Path of Exile of having a skill tree, so to speak, where it's a web of interconnected passives, but it also pulls from Diablo and having skills you can specialize and modify. So I think this is a beautiful combination of being able to give you, the player, some control over how you modify your skills and how you're building your character, which I really like this system here. It's been a lot of fun to play around with, and I just don't really have anything negative to say about it. I like this system. Things I haven't been too impressive with are the passive tree in and of itself. As I level up a character, a lot of these choices are pretty much just life and damage. They don't feel too interesting to me for the most part. They all are pretty much just life and damage for a lot of these passives. Maybe it's a little bit different for some of the other classes, but so far when I've been looking at the Lich class and the Acolyte base class, this passive tree setup in and of itself is pretty much just life and damage. It's very simple so far, I'd say. I think there's a lot of room to improve this to make it more interesting between what choices you're choosing. Maybe you can start getting some quality of life choices, some defensive choices that aren't just life. Stuff like that could be a decent amount more interesting. So the passive tree, although in its current state, I think it's kind of basic, I still think it brings something to the table in terms of, okay, you want to do this type of character? Well, then you have to choose these type of passives, and it still has some level of complexity into how you modify your character a little bit there, but I still think this could use some more complexity. But as of right now, as a base passive tree, as a game that hasn't even been fully released, I think this is pretty decent. It's pretty solid still, and I'm enjoying it. I would say that. Also, in terms of gearing, you have quite a few amount of gear slots. Specific gear pieces can get specific modifiers, and it's been fun to upgrade my gear to basically min-max for my own character. I haven't had the ability to grab too many uniques that are specific for my build, but I can tell as I run through the game and I pick up more uniques, I'm finding stuff that I'm thinking, oh, that'd be cool with a different type of build. It's not my build per se, but I can see that there's some unique stuff they do with uniques here in terms of like a way to modify a build in a way it previously wouldn't be for like a skill tree type of dynamic, so to speak. Like their build making, so to speak. A lot of these uniques, I feel like they have that intention to them. So I'm positive they'll keep releasing new and powerful uniques. Hopefully, keep getting some cool stuff on the radar. So I'm excited to find more uniques in the game, see cool new stuff, and then draw build ideas of way to build around those uniques and stuff in the future. So all in all, there's a lot of cool stuff that Last Epoch has to offer. I myself have been having a decent amount of fun with it, and hopefully you guys, maybe you can consider playing this game, because I'm excited to actually make some content on it, make some builds in this game. As I learn the system better, I'll feel more comfortable about saying, hey, this is a build guide. I have learned the system well. I know this is something cool you can do. Here, maybe take it, make something of your own from it, and stuff like that. I'm excited to play the game. I'm excited to stream it this weekend because I'm going to have some free time to do so, and maybe get your thoughts on what you guys think of Last Epoch. Before I leave, though, I should go ahead and showcase a map of me just playing Last Epoch so you can get an idea or feel of what it looks like. I'm just seeing now, I didn't even talk about the Endgame system. So far, the Endgame system, I'm going to say it's kind of like, it's in development. I can see it has some strong suits as a starting system. It's as a game in development, it's pretty freaking good. So far, what it's been is essentially, once you finish the campaign, you have to play and do maps in the level 55 zone, and you have to succeed at those maps multiple times in a row, and you get quest echoes to complete. And on completing these quest echoes, you can choose to go to different areas or different higher level zones and fight through those zones and beat those zones, and continue to progress to higher and higher level zones to fight harder monsters, harder challenges. So that's their current endgame system, along with an endless arena that is basically just to see how long you can keep a character alive, like for leaderboards. That's some of the endgame systems they have to offer. So I'm going to show you real quick playing through one of these maps, so to speak, and they're called echoes in this game. Basically what it says is, okay, you have just gotten to this zone. The minimum echo is conquered for a chance of finding a quest echo, which is basically progression for going to the next zone. You have to do about 3 quest echoes generally, and once you do that 3rd quest echo, you can unlock the next higher level zone. So it'll say, okay, you need to run these echoes, and once you've run 4, you start having a chance to find a quest echo. You do that quest echo, you do more echoes, and then you can find the next quest echo, so to speak. And if you die in one of these echoes, you get set back 2 echoes. So it's not like softcore where there is no punishment for dying, but it's also not hardcore where you have to make an entirely new character. I guess you can play hardcore in this game. I mean, I'm not doing it because I'm just fresh and new to the game, and I don't particularly like having to spend an entire playthrough of time with a new character if I make one silly mistake. I like to be able to walk away from the computer screen every now and then to, for example, feed my baby. So there's other priorities I got going on. Now, each time you open up one of these echoes, you get the choice of basically what kind of dangerous mods do you want on this echo? Do you want crit strike chance, or do you want the monsters to have increased life and focus on attacking players? You'll look at both these options and it'll say, hey, you get this amount of rarity, this amount of experience, and generally for the most part, if the game, you're just stomping the game, I would say just go with the one that has like the more rarity and the more experience, so that way you can progress your gear and progress your character faster. But basically, as you get to the farther in endgame, you get to the harder stuff, I imagine you'll get to the point where stuff gets too hard to do, and you won't be able to just stomp the content, and you'll have to think more about your choices there. So my build, I'm using this skill called Orb Decay. When I read the skills, when I was looking through the different characters, I read this skill, and it says poison enemies around you and poison yourself. And I read that and I thought, that's Righteous Fire. I like Righteous Fire. That's what I'm going to play. And then I see Badger making a video where he's basically playing the same skill, and I'm like, oh man, now I feel like a copycat. Although I'm not trying to be, I just thought, Righteous Fire, I want to play that, and so far I've been enjoying doing it. I'm kind of just arbitrarily running through these things. As I poison these things, the poison will stay on them and end up finishing off a lot of these monsters. Although, might look like I'm not killing every monster, they end up basically just dying from my poison anyways after the fact. Let's go ahead and find the final boss here. These aren't like... I'd say these maps or these echoes are similar size to Path of Exile maps, so to speak. I feel like I spend maybe a similar amount of time clearing these, maybe a little bit shorter, but it varies. Some echoes are longer than others, some are pretty short. But you always have this goal to go find the map boss or a specific map shrine or something to fight through. This one appears to be a shrine, so I'll click on this. It'll spawn a bunch of different monsters, and I just have to fight through the various waves of monsters, and that's how I complete this shrine. After this fact, when you get to the point of, once you get to the point of completing up to quest echoes, you start to fight special map bosses, and those fights are a lot more engaging and interesting, I would say. As far as boss mechanics go, from what I've noticed from playing this game, is bosses have very clearly telegraphed attacks. You know exactly where to dodge. It'll highlight in the arena where the boss attack's going to happen. Stuff like that is very clear. I've kind of enjoyed that. I don't feel like it's made it too easy, but it's also made it very clear what's going on in the fight, so I know when I get hit by something, I knew exactly where that attack was going to be. It's not like it comes out of left field, like I don't see it coming or I can't see the attack coming. Stuff like that's been pretty neat as well. And then after you complete echoes, you TP out. You don't have to pick up portal scrolls. You just have to press the T button. You portal out like this, and you get a little chest of rewards, a little bag of goodies, so to speak, and hopefully some upgrades for your character. For the most part, you're just getting like crafting supplies, and sometimes you get some good bases. Occasionally you get a unique item here or there, and that so far is the grind of the end game. You just do this until you can unlock future zones and go fight those zones. I'm going to turn off my Aura of Decay, and hopefully I don't kill myself from my own poisons, because the Aura of Decay is also how I heal myself. But after you get done with those echoes, you'll unlock new zones, and you'll get to fight through higher level zones, higher level areas, and more content. So I'm excited to continue to progress this game, learn more about more mechanics, and play different characters, and hopefully I will be making some guides on various characters in Last Epoch, so that way if you choose to play this game, I can hopefully make some decent guides on decent characters. That way you have something of a starting point for different characters and different skills that you'd say, okay, that looks cool, I want to check it out, and then I have something there that you can see as an example of what this turns out to be, where you can go with it, stuff like that. So I'm excited for the future of Last Epoch. It has a current cost of $35, I believe, on Steam. Once the game is released, I think it's supposed to be $15, so it's more expensive in the beta, I guess. So if you want to have access to it earlier, it's more expensive. But if you want to just wait and hold out for the final release, it'll be cheaper, I believe. So that is my first impressions on Last Epoch. I've enjoyed it quite a bit playing it. I'm excited to make some more videos on this game specifically because, frankly, I just think it's a good game. And I'm excited for what it means for the ARPG genre. I think it's going to bring a level of competitiveness that Diablo and Path of Exile will have more reason to perform well and release good games if there's more options in the genre, and they have to show that they are truly a better option to get your playtime, so to speak, and your money. So I'm just excited about this game. I think it's really pretty good. I think it's bringing something new to the ARPG genre, and hopefully they continue to do well with performance. They're about to release a multiplayer pretty soon here. That's the next big update, I believe. So I'm excited to see where Last Epoch goes, and I'm excited to make some videos on it. I'm excited to make some videos on it as well. Appreciate y'all watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.